Bob Saget thing. Heartbreaking.
Yeah.
When Bob Saget passed away, mysteriously, tragically, however you want to frame it. Terrible loss. Like, to the point where I don't think that it's actually... I've given it enough... I haven't given it enough grief. You know, it's like that's how short attention spans are, even when someone as important as Bob passes away. And I didn't have him in my life the way that the kids did that worked on Full House with him, and obviously the crew that worked on Funniest videos and all the other stuff that Bob was involved with. But in the moments in my life where I was with Bob, Bob was a main character in my life. The main character. Like, he was a rocket that was put... He was the secret sauce, so to speak. For people that aren't familiar, you know, Jamie and I were doing... we were doing like a... for lack of better terms, we were rapping. We were doing comedy and rap, which is... Which, this is before, like, and I'm not throwing out shit. We were doing comedy and rap, which could be called crap. Sure. That's a flip joke. Anyway, we were rapping, and Jamie had done Malibu's Most Wanted. All this is in Cable Guy Jeff's movie. But we were doing... Jamie was doing Malibu's Most Wanted. He was having some fun with the B-Rad character. Wanted to record an album of B-Rad songs. I offered to help him do that. And those sessions ended up evolving into Jamie and I becoming a rap duo of sorts. And we legitimately thought like our music was good enough to get a record deal. Now, this is pre-LMFO, where we would see Red Foo at Coffee Bean. Pre-everybody. Everybody. We knew everybody. Go ahead. So we were legitimately thought that the music like was good enough that it should have a record deal. Like, why not even a comedy album deal? We Pre-Island. Sure. First of all, Andy Samberg, who actually is a good rapper, shout out to him. Great rapper. I remember when he was opening for you in New York, and he had that joke, Species. He didn't open. He was on the show. He was on the show. Yeah, well, you were the host. Yeah, he was one of the comics. I was host for Comedy Central, and it was Lavelle Crawford. Yeah. But anyway, Samberg, I remember Samberg had the great. He had the joke. Species. Yes. But I remember he gave us his tape of him rapping. Yes. And we were like... 2004. We were like, heard his rap, and we were like, oh, this guy's good. Maybe he can ghostwrite. Yeah, maybe we should be careful of this guy. Yeah. Like, he's pretty good. Yeah, he was really good. But anyway, we were rapping. And we thought that our music was good enough because we were confident like that for whatever reason. And it was. Yeah, I thought it was, too. The beats were great. The raps were catchy. Bob Saget, when nobody would get on our song, and I know that we've milked this, and we've obviously blown up and all that kind of stuff. But you're telling this to the far right now. Yes. Who doesn't know that show? So Jamie and I were trying to get a rapper to come on to one of our songs so that we could blow up. I hit up Fitty. We met with Jay-Z. Met with Jay. We met with this one and that one and the other one. Nobody wanted anything to do with it. Kanye was early. Akon would fuck with us. Shout out to Podwall. So here's the deal. What happened was Bob Saget, actually, originally, Jeff Goldblum was the first one that I thought of. No! Because you had That's right, you wanted Goldblum. So we called Goldblum. Goldblum could have been on the album. And Goldblum to do like Rolling with Goldblum. And Goldblum was like busy doing something else. But what did he say? He was like, "Oh, I'd love to do it, but I'm in Africa. I'm musical." Goldblum. Yeah, because he tickles the ivories. Goldblum was unavailable. This is a first. No one has ever said that. I forgot that. So you almost made it Rolling with Goldblum. So Jamie threw me his phone and was like, "I don't know, whatever you want, just look in the phone. Take a number." Sidekick. There was a lot. Was this one the sidekick? Shout out to the sidekick. I get as far as B, and I see the name Bob Saget in his phone, and it was like It was like a magical moment. It was like seeing a vision, like Jamie and Jack Osborne and Jason Mewes spotting an alien. It was like a moment where I was like, whoa, Bob Saget. And Jamie was like, Bob Saget, I love it. Like, Bob just did Jamie Kennedy Experiment. Bob's a Jamie fan. Bob is already calling Jamie to hang out and like leaving these insane voice messages. Like, Bob will do this. Yeah. So Jamie calls Bob, and Bob answers the phone, and Bob's like, "What do you want? Rapping? Sure." He answered the phone. Yeah, which is pretty great. And Jamie you called was Keanu like, back then. You always got a voicemail. Jamie, he was like, "Jamie, for you, anything." He said that. Yes. And so anyway, Bob comes, he raps on the song, Rolling with Saget. Shout out to Decisive. You owe him a book. A signed book. You told him you'd give him a book.
I love Derek. Shouts out.
Maybe you could get it for you today, and I can get it to him.
I'll give it to you.
But anyway, Rolling with Saget came out, and we put it up a year later on MySpace, and it went to #1, and it turned into a whole thing. We had an MTV show. We spent 3 years of our lives as rappers because of Bob Saget, who was always around. So anyway, needless to say, Bob got a lot out of it too. He had so much fun, but also for the rest of his career in his life, he had a theme song that was befitting of a legend of himself in this classic music video with George Lucas and all this other stuff. So many stories we could veer off in. But anyway, every appearance that Bob Saget made, Rolling with Saget would play. Bob had his roast on Comedy Central, Rolling with Saget. Bob's on the Ellen Show, Rolling with Saget. Bob's getting introduced to come play at the 3,000-seater, Rolling with Saget plays. Bob's going to play the Vegas Comedy Festival where we played with him and we performed the song, Rolling with Saget. When Bob passed away, it felt like a part of me, like a chapter that I never wanted it to be over, ended right there, right? It's like even though I wasn't seeing Bob all the time, he was still sending, like my nephew had a bar mitzvah, he sends a video that's not like 30 seconds. Like you sent like an 11-minute rant. Like Saget will do like 20 minutes of jokes that shouldn't be at the bar mitzvah. He's that guy, right? And it's just so sad. Like he literally, I was texting with him 3 months before he passed away. He saw the Faking a Murder. He was like, I'm so proud of you. That kind of stuff, very encouraging. Always with the I love yous and all that stuff. Even if I didn't see him, I knew that I felt important to him, and I know you felt the same way. I wish I could leave it at that and not be like bitter, but there is a bitterness about Bob's passing that maybe I'll get over it sometime. But I felt like even more so for you than for me, and I don't know if you're going to include this or not. But
speak.
Then it came time to pay tribute to Bob Saget, and I felt like we were treated like
redhead
like we didn't even exist. And and it's like I don't understand that at all. And maybe those people that were really close to Bob and in his circle at that time were unaware of us. Maybe they were unaware of the song, which I doubt, because I know Stamos was in the music video and like loves the song. But they had all these tributes they did a tribute at the Comedy Store. They did a tribute on Netflix. They did this, that, and the other thing. They had a service. You told about where the service was?
No.
Now, I'm not... first of all, his nephew, Adam Saget, salt of the earth. Great guy. And I feel for him more than anybody. And I know that Bob obviously had the daughters and a family and people that were really... But
we know Adam more than the daughters.
But Adam was
he was our boy.
He was basically Bob's raised him.
Yeah.
And I felt sick for Adam. You know, so... The last thing I'm thinking is like worried about what Adam's thinking if he's putting together some sort of arrangements. I don't expect him to be like, oh, let's call Jamie and make sure that he's included. I wouldn't put that on Adam. But there are outer layers of that group that for sure should have said something. I felt like we should have been a part of it, and it feels like it was missing from it. And maybe it's selfish because I just felt like. Maybe I feel like we're more important than we think we are in Bob's life. But I felt pretty important from the way that he spoke to me and from the way that song impacted him and us. And I don't know. I just felt hurt a little bit that, you know, when Bob passed away, dude, there's no excuse. TMZ ran the fucking Rolling with Saget music video right on the front page the day he died. Like, everybody, I just feel like you, even more so than me, like, you should have been a part of those. And I don't know why you weren't. I don't know if you have beef with anybody over there or what happened. But that's a great regret, I think, that nobody has on their end. But I regret it. I feel like we should have been a part of that.
I'll say this. There's so much I could say to this. And
I don't want to sound like whining about it. It's just like I felt Bob was important enough to me. And I felt that what we had, especially you, had with Bob was important enough to him that you would have even been at the service. Never mind, I don't need you to speak and fucking go up and rap the song or nothing like that. But like just to even be there. When Bob's father died, We were at the funeral.
I was there.
I don't remember seeing any of those. I mean, a few of them, sure, like Stamos, of course.
His youngest daughter's bat mitzvah.
Sure,
we were there.
And when it was the fundraiser that he was doing for,
we were there.
We were there.
Mm-hmm. At least 5 huge life events for Bob. We were there.
And so it's like when this guy passes away, it's like, how do they? I don't know. I just felt like a little bit like I don't know what the reasoning was. Like, I don't know. I know Jeff Ross doesn't have my phone number. Yeah. So I'm not expecting that.
Yeah.
But you should have been reached out to. Listen, I should have been reached out to via you.
Listen, you make a lot of good points. I was salty. I think the whole thing was, first of all, is a shock. It's
the worst.
Like, literally, I had done.
Who doesn't love Bob?
You can't. There's not one person that said a bad thing about him.
Right.
He's the salt of the earth. He literally is the definition of a mensch.
And dirty,
yes.
like the sense of a mensch in the streets.
Yes.
A freak
in the streets. Like wearing a Brooks Brothers by day, but at night,
Bang Brothers by night.
Yeah. So
Bob would appreciate that joke.
He would. Here's the thing. It was like when I
so maybe we could do our tribute now. Is kind of my point.
Oh, I didn't get.
It's already happening.
Go ahead. Should I respond to that?
Yes.
So, look, well, it was exactly what you said. I hadn't talked to Bob for a little while, and then when I turned 50, he goes, "Can you believe it? Can you believe it?" It was like a lead text. I'm like, "Bob," and he's like, "You really did it. You're 50. Can you believe it? The hairs on your balls are gray." Like he, out of the blue, just hit me like my 50th, which was a big time and a weird time because it was just so. COVID, and he just out of the blue hit me the greatest message, and that's who he was.
But also, I think you knew, the thing that I think Bob loved about you is that you did your homework on comedy. You're a comedian. You're a guy that knows his stuff, right?
I respect.
You knew who Bob the comedian was.
I respect my elders.
Whereas people who come into the business that just think Bob is Bob from Full House. You knew that he was Rodney Dangerfield's guy.
Right hand.
You knew that history, and I think that's why Bob really took to you, because you understood what he was. And I think that's what he wanted to be even more. I'm sure he made his killions of dollars.
As we're talking about Bob,
yeah,
he would talk to me about Rodney.
Sure, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And I remember him telling stories, carrying Rodney's bags, whatever Rodney wants.
Rodney doing a rail at 84.
Sure. And so I think that, that's probably why he really liked you and me too, I guess, because we got who he was.
Oh yeah.
In our song. I mean, come on.
I think this. Look, you're saying a lot again, and so it's hard to answer everything at once. But
yeah.
I'll say this: is that I did Bob's podcast maybe 4 months before he died.
Yeah, I watched it,
and I was texting with him about doing something else, and he texted back.
I had a talk with him about doing a talking dog movie where he was going to do with me and Rodness.
Yeah.
He was like, whatever you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I didn't talk to him. And when he died, it was an absolute fucking shock.
Yeah.
It was an absolute shock. And it was like, look, I've lost family members, and I knew it was going to happen. Like, this hit me as hard. It hit me
hard. Came out of nowhere to me.
And more than most things. It was
just like, what?
I
thought it was a joke.
I knew how healthy he was. I knew how vivacious he was. I know that he was like, I'm going to tour every weekend. And so I'm like, I just talked to him, And he had a new thing where, nothing really pissed him off. Like, I was talking to him about something that could have pissed him off, and he was like, no, I appreciate you reaching out. And, of course, do that. And it was beautiful. And that's a private conversation. But long story boring is that he died. I was in shock. You and me are the first people to talk. I'm like, literally like, is it real? And you're like, yeah. And then my phone blew the fuck up.
And the thing is like watching,
And Pammy was hitting me up very early
Loved
too.
him.
Yeah, and she was like, because she knew. She was like, how are you feeling? Like, but the thing is that I don't know enough, but for about 4 years, we were not in Bob's inner circle, but we were in one of his circles. You have to understand, he's had probably
100 circles.
He's got 10 universes, right? Yeah. But we were one universe where we wanted to go out late at night. He knocks on the door. It's Saget. Oh, they let him in. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
We're drinking martinis, eating steaks at 2:30. Yeah, the Belmont. Like, great shit like that. I'm doing a gig in Philly. He's there. We're at the Ritz. It's Saget. The bar stays open. Booze in the fucking best. In the back limo. She's like, man, it's great, right? Yeah. So we did that, and I did a lot too because I would also do comedy with him. And look, I know I got an idea of who his circle is. It's different people. Like, Jeff, I think, and him have been tight for his whole life. For
sure.
And John Stamos, obviously.
Yeah. And different
even
John Mayer, you can tell that
John Mayer. Yeah, you
can tell.
I don't know. I know Jeff.
It's probably so cool to Bob that John Mayer is in his life.
So there's a circle there. And listen, people are the thing that I could agree with you on is that during the whole thing, any news outlet that played a story, TMZ and others, played Rollin' with Saget. Other people would play the song in their story, Rollin' with Saget. So everyone knew that this was his theme song, and they loved it. And then when I saw, like, not only just the people carrying the casket, which I'm not saying I should have done it, but, like, literally on the outer circle, I'm like, I never saw half of these people in his world. And so, but it's probably our job to call and say, when's the funeral? No one reached out. Yeah. It's probably, I would have thought if I heard about the fucking, his like second or third thing, but it was like literally like, do you want to go? And like, do what? Watch? So it's like, yeah, so I listen, I had a moment. I had a moment.
I don't want to make it about us.
No, you can't make it about you.
About Bob.
But there's who knows what people were going through.
Would have wanted.
I would have liked. Would I have liked to speak? Sure. Or would I have liked to have just even been there and held a flower? Sure. But it's probably on us to reach out. I was touring a lot.
Reach out to like what? Like
I didn't know this is his new wife. Yeah. The only people that we really know in his world is Adam.
Yeah.
So.
And I didn't want to bug you. I spoke to him after.
So we hadn't. You have to understand. We haven't really been deep in his world for 10 years. Yeah. So it'd be on and off. So you can't get. You can feel a certain way, but there's reasons why. I don't want to feel how people see this, but I made peace with it, and I had my own tribute. I did, and then. When different things started coming out, I had to do another video of like people stop like fucking making ideas about it because I don't know what happened, and I don't want anyone to speculate.
Well, I'll tell you what.
But yes, I was hurt. I was salty, but it was also not about me.
No, that's the thing.
And right now
I
we
feel
can
like I'm in a safe space.
Yeah, you are.
Where we can say that stuff
out
loud. But
I
do feel like you more than me even. That you should have been a part of it.
It hurt, bro. I had a lot going on. I had COVID.
Like I watched the Netflix special.
I didn't even watch
it. Hoping to see you in it.
I didn't watch it.
Hoping to even see a mention of
Was
something.
Were there people that you never knew? Were there people that you're like, who's that?
Well, listen, I grew up with some of the kid, like Jodie Sweetin.
Yeah.
She was like a child
mandatory
actor. She's probably, by the way, side note, one of the most talented kid actors. And as a kid actor, I have authority to say that.
Yeah.
Jodie Sweetin was one of the funniest kid actors.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like comic timing like a vaudevillian 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Really great.
I don't doubt that.
So anyway, I felt for her big time because that's her dad. Like,
yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. So like, but who was anybody there? I didn't watch it. That you were like, why are they there?
It wasn't more like why are they there. It was just more like why is Jamie not there?
I mean, look, man.
I was like, Jamie should be there.
You know what? I hate to say it. I hope they didn't turn it into a heat index thing.
I doubt it. But
you know what I'm saying?
Maybe. See, that's the thing. That's the dangerous part about the freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want, sure, but some people won't like it, and it's up to them. And it's up to them.
Well, was it like a true tribute? I'm sure it was, or was it like, oh, this person's hot this week?
Exactly.
Get them to say a couple of lines. I mean, look. I don't know.
First of all, Bob's the man.
Yeah, so Bob would talk to us too. It'd be like, yo, why weren't you fucking there? But again, we weren't in his world for 10 years, bro. And I would see him on and off. But here's the deal.
But still, someone's funeral. Okay, like,
I agree.
How many times did you meet Bob's dad?
A few. I fucking went to his funeral. I went to his sister's sclerodoma. I've done all of it.
Right. So it's like, that's my point. It's
I agree.
Why does it matter?
I fucking agree. Was Hardwick there?
I don't know.
Hardwick was in the group.
The problem with Bob is that he was friends with everybody.
He really was.
So it's his fault. Can I ask you? It's Bob's fault that I feel this way because he made me feel so important.
Bob would laugh at that.
Yeah,
Hold on.